Welcome back, beautiful and amazing human beings. And you know what? Let's keep things light. And let's talk about the international AI, artificial intelligence, computing arms race that will create godlike powers, if not the next country that controls the world, or World War III. Okay, yeah, I know, that was a little bit of an over-sensationalized introduction. But I do believe there is some merit in being careful with AI, artificial intelligence, which we will get into in this video. Now, of course, right now the world's eyes are on North Korea, as we're all dealing with a very dangerous situation, which ultimately comes down to the struggle of US world hegemony and US petrodollar supremacy, which you're not hearing at all in the mainstream media, but you can in our previous video that we did yesterday. Now, the situation in North Korea is a very serious one, and shouldn't be underplayed, but there are very influential, important figures in this world that are warning us about a different danger. Now, of course, North Korea is answering back and threatening the United States. Russia is intervening and saying that we are at a risk of a global catastrophe that will amount to huge losses of human life, and at the same time is standing against the United States, rejecting more sanctions on North Korea. He's also verbally firing shots at the United States, saying that with this current US administration, that, quote, it's difficult to talk with people who confuse Austria and Australia. He also came out with a statement saying that Trump is not his wife, and he's mainly opposing what he calls military hysteria from the United States, which again, as we told you in yesterday's video, is not just a conflict between the United States and North Korea, but really the United States going against China and Russia. Now, all these statements are making global headlines all around the world, but there's one statement that's being undermined here, and I think is extremely significant when we talk about the greater potential conflicts and dangers facing the world, and that's Vladimir Putin coming out and saying that the nations that lead in artificial intelligence will be the rulers of this world. Now, of course, artificial intelligence is the advancement of computing to such a level where it will be at or even surpass human intelligence. That technological possibility is advancing at a very fast rate, and as Putin says and predicts, that whichever country leads the way in artificial intelligence research will come to dominate global affairs. He said, quote, artificial intelligence is the future, not only for Russia, but for all humankind. It comes with colossal opportunities, but also threats that are difficult to predict. Whoever becomes the leader in this sphere will become the ruler of the world. And from my understanding and research on the subject, I don't think Vladimir Putin is wrong. Already, we have seen major advancements in military weapons and drones that take human beings out of the actual reality of being able to kill and hurt someone. And artificial intelligence could be used to develop cyber weapons, control autonomous tools like drone swarms, fleets of low-cost quadrocopters with a shared brain that could be used for surveillance as well as attacking opponents. The entity that of course controls this kind of artificial intelligence that is smarter than human beings will of course dominate. And it's not just Vladimir Putin warning us about this, but also other tech innovators like Elon Musk, who came out recently and speculated that AI systems could even start to choose a war. That AI systems could choose to start a war if they decide that a preemptive strike is more probable path to victory. And Elon Musk, who himself worked with AI systems before, said that North Korea, quote, should be low on our list of concerns for civilizational existential risk. That, quote, competition for AI superiority at national level most likely cause of World War III, in my opinion. Now, those are very grand speculative comments that some people accuse Elon Musk of fear-mongering about, but Elon Musk is taking this threat very seriously, as he and 116 other technology leaders sent a petition to the United States calling for new regulations on how such AI weapons are developed, calling for a ban on lethal autonomous weapons, which they say could become the third revolution in warfare. Now, it's important to note here that most AI development is not in the hands of governments, but actually private corporations like Amazon, Facebook, and Google, which Elon Musk pointed out will create a power struggle, and that governments will obtain AI developed by companies at gunpoint if necessary. Now, I know a lot of people play up to this fantasy of this transcendental super being, but in reality, I'm more concerned about machines that could carry out complex actions that could be in the hands of an unethical, immoral, selfish, power-driven corporation or government. And these machines are developing at a very fast rate, as Elon Musk put it.
Because we have a double exponential at work. We have an exponential increase in hardware capability, and we have an exponential increase in software talent that is going into AI. So whenever you have a double exponential, it's very difficult to predict. People's predictions are almost always going to be too conservative in terms of thinking it'll be further out than it is. People thought defeating Go was either never or 20 years away. That was the world's best Go player was defeated. And now that same AlphaGo system can defeat the top 50 players simultaneously with 0% of chance of them winning.
Now, personally, this is a little bit worrying to me. Understanding the basic laws of nature, you understand that you don't have as much muscle mass as tigers, or claws, or teeth as big as tigers. But the only thing allowing us to be able to subjugate and be more dominant than bigger species in our natural environment is the fact that we're more intelligent than they are. If there is an entity that is being created that will be more intelligent than us, who says that entity won't subjugate us? It's a speculative theory, but I think one worth considering, especially if you look at the past record of some of these corporations and governments who are building this kind of superintelligence. And I can understand why Elon Musk sees artificial intelligence as an existential risk, because there are no public safeguards, there are no regulations, there's no accountability or transparency with someone building godlike powers in a machine. Elon Musk has been very critical of other AI developers like Mark Zuckerberg of Facebook, and even came out and said that Zuckerberg's understanding of AI is limited, which sadly only made Mark Zuckerberg double down. And Mark Zuckerberg responded by saying
about how you build it, and you need to be careful about what you build and how it's going to be used. But people who are arguing for slowing down the process of building AI, I just find that really questionable, right? I have a hard time wrapping my head around that, because if you're arguing against AI, then you're arguing against safer cars that aren't going to have accidents, and you're arguing against being able to better diagnose people when they're sick. And I mean, I just don't see how in good conscience of some people can do that. So I mean, I'm just much more optimistic on this in general than probably a lot of folks are.
Yeah, trust us. You have nothing to worry about. Be optimistic, said the unethical, cutthroat billionaire businessman who literally ran psychological experiments to control the emotions of his users who unknowingly participated in his experiment, where unsuspected users of Facebook had a psychological experiment ran on them to control their emotions, doing this all in secret, of course, seeing what would happen if they could make their users feel really sad or really happy. And as we know from the basic rules of marketing, if you could make someone feel insignificant, insecure, and sad, it's a lot easier for them to sell you useless crap that you don't need to fill that empty void that you have in yourself. And it's not just the bad practices of these major corporations that we have to worry about, but also clear connections to intelligence agencies that of course they cooperate, work with, and were funded by and started by. And sadly, no, Facebook has not backed down or become more careful, but has continued their AI progress and experiments to the point where Facebook's artificial intelligence robots had to be shut down after they started talking to each other in their own language. Now, of course, this is a multifaceted story that is a lot more complex than just that headline. And of course, Facebook came out and said, no, this wasn't a big deal at all. But yet again, how would we ever know, since there's no regulations or safeguards, and we have to trust a corporation whose interests are, of course, financial, and never have your interests at heart, but their financial needs. And if they did something that was very dangerous, they of course wouldn't take responsibility or let you know about it, since they have no accountability to even do that. And it's not just Fedbook that we have to worry about, but of course Google, that's building an artificial intelligence team in China right now. And mind you, this is the same CIA-funded monopoly corporation whose sphere of influence is encroaching on our daily lives, that many experts claim by 2030 that we will be living in a world that's run by Google. Larry Page, one of the Google 2 co-founders, once said offhandedly that Google is not about building a search engine. As he said it, oh, we're really making an AI. Google right now is all about building the world brain that will take care of every person all the time and everywhere. And today, where we look at a world already heavily dominated by Google, you could surely see the repercussions and dangers facing us, as they have clearly showed a political bias against their opponents and anyone who questions the status quo, while of course cooperating with governments and their demands on them, violating our privacy. Governments who are taking away more of our freedoms and destroying our civil liberties in the advancing technological world that we all live in. Just like we saw recently in Australia, where the police now have the authority to turn on your phone. phone, your refrigerators, your microwaves, your home surveillance systems with software that allows them to surveil you even without a warrant. So yeah, that's the world that we're living in. Crap, I really don't know what else to say. Oh yeah, don't go running into the woods with your tinfoil hat on yet. Don't despair, don't give up hope. Some of the things we talked about today are kind of scary, but try to not to feed into some of the fear and understand that the power of your reaction is one of the most important powers we have in this world. A lot of these corporations that are building these AI systems are supported by us and our usage of them, and we could take that power away from them any day, as we're seeing a surge in alternative search engine platforms like DuckDuckGo, who just don't sell your information to the CIA, and the number of people using them is directly correlated with more people finding out how horrible Google is. So I'm optimistic because I fully understand the power is really within all of our hands, and we can make a big difference. Or maybe I'm just a dumbass. Let me know in the comment section below what you think. Thank you again so much for watching Real Independent Media, which of course is financed by you, and guess who else? You only. Your donations on wearechange.org/donate mean a lot to us, especially, with the Google AI wanting to run the entire world systems, demonetizing us. You guys are a lot more important than you think right now. I love you guys. Thank you again so much for watching.